1, 2. Hello everybody, my name is ProfRich, and this is an English class on modal verbs of Valentine's Day. Welcome one, welcome all. Let's talk about modal verbs in the context of Valentine's Day. Here is the plan for today. We will be talking about romance. We will be discussing Valentine's Day. We will review the 9 pure modals. There are pure modals and semi-modals. Today we'll look at just the pure modals. We'll practice using them in the context of Valentine's Day. We will review the general meaning and then we'll practice other modal meanings. All right, so that is the plan for today. Hello if you're watching live, and if you're watching this video later on, that's awesome as well. If you found this video on YouTube, then smash that like button. Thank you very much. Subscribe. You have found the best English learning channel on the internet with ProfRich. So let's get into this. Let's start with a little bit of activating your schematic knowledge. That's what language teachers call it. Normal people call it talking about what you know about this subject. So what do you associate with Valentine's Day? There's just some ideas there on the screen. However, I am open to anything that you associate with Valentine's Day. Tell me about Valentine's Day in your culture. You can type in the chat now and I'll read some of those out. Let's pop out the chat. So, Sleepwalker says, hello, everyone. Mina says, hello, Sleepwalker. Zoya says, hi, everyone. We got hi. Tifa says, hello. Julia Khadar says, hi, Manuel. Hi, Pallavi. Hi, Sleepwalker. Hello. Okay, lots of hellos. And Julia says, pop the question. Pop the question. Are you going to pop the question? Are you hoping that someone will pop the question to you? Is anyone planning on popping the question today? Pop the question. So pop the question, of course, means that you ask someone to be your wife. Or if it's the 29th of February, then maybe you're a woman asking someone to be your husband. Manjula says, or Delani says, in my country, teacher, we actually do not celebrate Valentine's that much. Well, that's to be expected, Delani, since Valentine's Day comes from a Christian saint. So Valentine's Day actually has Christian roots, possibly some pagan roots, depending on your knowledge of history. Anouat says a French kiss. So that's picture number 2, isn't it? The French kiss. A French kiss means a kiss using your tongue. French kiss involves a bit of tongue. Hands up in the chat if you like a bit of tongue. We're just learning vocabulary related to Valentine's Day, folks. So we have chocolates, we've got a nice restaurant, maybe have a date, maybe pop the question. Anything else before we move on? Red hearts all around. Yeah, lots of red hearts, lots of red, lots of hearts, lots of romantic thing. A Valentine's Day card. That's right, Manuel. Valentine's Day card. A love letter. Oh, yes. A candlelit dinner at the restaurant. Or even, Julia, a candlelit dinner at home. Right, so I did tell you today we're going to do the pure modals. There are 9 pure modal verbs in English. 9 pure modal verbs. There used to be more, but nowadays there are 9. There's almost 8, but there's still 9 for the moment. We're very close to having... So, what are the 9 pure modal verbs? And Pallavi says, this is not appropriate for me. Yes, it is. That's not appropriate for me. Pallavi, come on. You're like 20, aren't you? There's nothing here that is... It's just Valentine. You're missing a few S's there. Anawats has an interesting system here. 3M, 2W, 2C, 2S. That's interesting. Let me just check something. My internet seems a bit weird. Is the stream okay for everybody? Let me know. I'm just going to check my signal. Hello, hello. Is this thing on? A bit unstable. Let's see how it goes, Ashley. Hopefully we'll be okay. Hopefully we'll be okay. I'll just close a few things that might be affecting it. Right. Okay, so the 9 pure modals. Let's do it using Anawat's trick. So Anawat said the 3 M's, so that's may. Actually, no, I always like to put may, might, and could together, so I'm not going to use Anawat's thing. I'm going to go may, might, could, can, would, will, shall, should, and... must. Bingo. Bingo. There was no cheating there. I just did them all, okay? No cheating. ProfRich did not cheat. I can buy you a coffee if you want. I always like coffee, Manuel. The link down below. Thank you. And I have a coffee here, actually. Oh, you can't see it very well. Really nice coffee today. Oh, yes, it's a mochaccino. All right, folks, so there's our 9 modals. Here's some sentences which relate to Valentine's Day. I'd like you to match the modal verbs with the sentences. You use each modal verb once. And remember that with the pronunciation of these sentences, we don't stress the modal verb. So with the pronunciation of these sentences, we do not stress the modal verb. Modal verbs are pronounced weak unless they are negative. Can you see a negative on there? No, you can't because my face was in the way, but now you can. So we have one negative. So watch out for that. When modal verbs are negative, we do stress them. But when they're positive, we normally don't stress them. So, I could love this food. No, I don't like that. I could buy chocolates. I could buy chocolates. I can buy chocolates. I may buy chocolates. I might buy chocolates. I shall buy chocolates. I will buy chocolates. I'd buy chocolates. I must buy chocolates. I should buy chocolates. Notice? No stress. Now, listen to the negation. I couldn't buy chocolates. I can't buy chocolates. I may not buy chocolates. I might not buy chocolates. I shan't buy chocolates. I won't buy chocolates. I wouldn't buy chocolates. I mustn't buy chocolates. I shouldn't buy chocolates. So with the negation, we have stress. With the affirmation, we don't stress. Instead, we stress the main verb. So buy chocolates. I could buy chocolates. I can buy chocolates. I may buy chocolates. I might buy chocolates. I shall buy chocolates. I'll buy chocolates. I'd buy chocolates. I must buy chocolates. I should buy chocolates. So we are matching the modal verbs at the bottom with the sentences. And you have 1 minute left, folks, and then I will give you the answers. So 1 minute to go. 1 minute to go. Ah, lovely. The problem with making a mochaccino, which, by the way, I don't know what a mochaccino is that if you're using a cafetiere, you can't push the thing down because the mocha, which I believe is the chocolate, clogs up the filter. Is it called a filter? I actually don't know my cafetiere vocabulary. I'm not a cafetiere expert. So Julia has a full set of answers. Sleepwalker also. Anawat also. Are you ready? Number 1 is can. You can get. Number 2 is could. This year could be special. Number 3 is may. May this Valentine's Day bring you happiness and love. Number 4, might. We might go out for a romantic dinner. Number 5, shall. Should we open the chocolates? Number 6, should. You should write a love letter to your partner. Number 7, will. I'll always remember our first Valentine's Day together. Number 8, would. Would you be my Valentine? And number 9, mustn't. You mustn't. Remember, we stress the negation. You mustn't forget to make your wife feel special on Valentine's Day. So there were some slightly different answers, and of course some of those are possible. You could use might for number 1, and you could use could. If we're talking about a specific future, that's okay. If we're talking about generally every year, then we must use can. Number 2, it's possible to be could, might, may, or will, but not can. For number 2, can is not possible. And number 3 has to be may. Has to be may. Number 4, should is possible, could is possible, might is possible, may is possible, shall is possible, and will is possible. Oh, no, wait. No, shall is not possible because of or just watch a movie. So there's lots of options here. Actually, grammatically, you can often put the modal in the same place as others and have something with a different meaning, but it's grammatically possible. So at the bottom there, we have a list of functions. And we have the sentences from the previous exercise at the top. I want you to match the functions to the sentences. The functions are specific possibility, and there's 2 of those. General possibility, a promise or intention, a request, advice against or prohibition, a wish or a hope, a suggestion, an advice to do something. So I'll just give you about 1.5 minutes to do that. Hello, Domenico. Mardi Gras. We just had did you know that in England, a lot of towns have a Mardi Gras now? Sometimes called Shrove Tuesday. Number one is not A. Number one is not A. Definitely not. That's very critical, actually. It's critical to know. It's very important to understand that cannot be used for specific possibility. It can be used for ability in a specific situation, but not for specific possibility. For example, I can play piano. That's general ability. I can play piano on Tuesday at the church. That's a general ability in a specific situation. But tomorrow we can get some great deals. No, you can't do that because we don't use can for specific possibility. So this is quite important. Let's have a look at the answers here. So number one is actually general possibility. Actually, I'm going to do this on a new sheet just in case anyone uses the notes later and wants to do these exercises. And that's totally messed that up. Okay. So you can get some great deals. That's general possibility. This year could be very special. Is specific possibility. May this Valentine's Day bring you happiness and love. That's a wish or hope. We might go out. That's possibility. Where's possibility? We might go out for a romantic dinner or just watch a movie. Oh, specific possibility. Shall we open the chocolates? Is a suggestion. You should write a love letter to your partner is advice. I will always remember our first Valentine's Day together is a promise or intention. Would you be my Valentine is a request. And you mustn't forget to make your wife feel special is advice. So the answers are B, A, F, A, G, E, C, D, H. Is that okay for everybody? Do you have any questions? And just while we do that, let's all smash that like button together right now. Do it right now. 3, 2, 1, boom. It's called a like bomb. I learned this from another YouTuber. You do a like bomb and then YouTube goes, wow, everyone likes this. So let's do a like bomb. Smash that like button, everybody. As we celebrate Valentine's Day and wishing you all Valentine's Day love all over the world. I hope you have some lovely person to celebrate this with. Whether you are a man or a woman and you love a man or a woman, whether you have a wife or a husband, or you haven't popped the question yet, I hope you have a wonderful, wonderful, lovely, lovely Valentine's Day. So, we're going to have a bit of a look at some more modals, and these are some modals where the meaning between them can be a little difficult. So, I'm going to show you two sentences with a different modal, and I want you to tell me what's the difference in meaning between the sentences, okay? What's the difference in meaning between these sentences, A and B? So, what's the difference in meaning? Should we eat our chocolates after dinner? 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 Difference in meaning, folks. What do you think? I'll give you 1 minute 30 to think about your answers and type those answers in the chat. Should and shall are words that people sometimes mix up, and I actually think that is mainly because they look and sound similar. It's not because of the meaning. The meaning with should and shall is actually quite different. Especially so because should actually has many meanings. This is actually one of the more difficult ones because it's quite close. But you have 30 more seconds to tell me what you think. If anyone gets this, I'll be quite impressed, actually. Dan says number 1 is necessary and 2 is a possibility. No, not really, Dan. Nice try, though. Nice try, Dan. Because nobody else has guessed yet. So good try. A is a suggestion and B is probability. Probability? Not so sure about that, Julia, but nice try. Oh, I know what. That's good. You're not quite right, but that's the best answer so far. A is asking for advice and B is asking for permission. Yeah. You can't really use shall to ask for permission, but it's a very nice try. Shall is definite and should is a suggestion. Is it definite though, son John? Because if I say, should we eat our chocolates? The other person might say no. All right, folks, I'll tell you this one. This one is very close, actually. It's very close. But essentially, with A, let's get a different colour. With A, it's like I'm saying, is it a good idea that we eat our chocolates after dinner? And with B, I'm saying, I suggest we eat our chocolates after dinner. What do you think? So, as you can see, functionally, they are basically the same, but there is a slight difference in the meaning there. Right? So, if someone says yes to either of these, then it could lead to the same result. However, there's just a slight difference in the semantics, that is, the meaning of how they're asked. All right, let's do another one. What's the difference in meaning? You can buy us some chocolates. You could buy us some chocolates. You can buy us some chocolates. You could buy us some chocolates. Wow, I made these hard, eh? I wrote these this morning. I don't remember them being this hard. Good luck. Oh, let me put the timer up for you. 1 minute 30 seconds. Off you go, folks. And if you've just joined us, hello, and smash that like button. There is actually a significant difference between these two, by the way. It's just that there's a very common mistake where language learners will use the wrong one. A present possibility. No, it's not present possibility, Anna. Can is not a present possibility. 20 seconds remaining. Dreamer, that is very good. That's very good. I think that's basically it. The important word there, because sleepwalker got close as well, but the important word is general possibility. All right, so for this one, let me tell you what's going on. A with can means you have the ability to buy her some chocolates. That's what I'm saying. You have that ability. So it's kind of like saying you have enough money. You have enough money to do it if you want, right? You have the ability. Another possibility for this, a slightly different meaning, depending on context, is it is possible for you to buy her some chocolates at X, Y, Z time of the year, or something like that. For example, why should I go to the supermarket every month? What's the point? Oh, because at the supermarket, you can buy your wife some chocolates, right? That's a general possibility. It means that's something you can do at the supermarket whenever you go. So it might be a reason to go, for example. B, on the other hand, is a suggestion, very clearly. It's like saying, hey, why don't you buy us some chocolates? Right? So there is quite a significant difference between these two. Let's move on to the next one. What's the difference in meaning? I could not. Oh, didn't realize I made it negative. In which case, let's contract it. I couldn't enjoy a box of chocolates alone. I wouldn't enjoy a box of chocolates alone. I couldn't enjoy a box of chocolates alone. I wouldn't enjoy a box of chocolates alone. All right, folks, what's the difference in meaning? Couldn't and wouldn't. Too much chocolate on the stream. It's Valentine's Day, Manuel. Valentine's Day is chocolate day. How much extra chocolate do you think they sell on Valentine's Day? I bet they sell a lot of extra chocolate on Valentine's Day. I couldn't enjoy a box of chocolates alone. I wouldn't enjoy a box of chocolates alone. What's the difference in meaning? All right, let's see what we've got for this one. Could is for possibility, would is for prediction. Possibility. Maybe. Yeah, maybe could is for... could here is not really possibility, but you could... It's okay to say that, but then would is for prediction. Maybe what you're saying is true, Sleepwalker, but it's a little bit unclear how that relates to the sentences. Julia says A is a decision and B is an intention. No. Sorry, Julia. Good guess, though. Have you read the poem Goblin Market by Christina Rossetti? What? No, I've never read this. Wow, what is this? Oh, it goes on forever. That is a long poem. I don't think I can read a poem that long enough. I'm not intelligent enough. That's a good name, though, isn't it? Christina Rossetti. Everybody wants a name like that. So Italian. All right, folks. Let me give you the answers. So, A. I couldn't. It is impossible for me, or that's one way of saying it, or I do not have the ability to do that in that situation. Okay? So it's impossible for me to enjoy a box of chocolates alone, or I do not have the ability to do that. I do not have the ability to enjoy chocolates alone. So that's A. And then B is if I were alone with a box of chocolates, I would not enjoy it. So actually, I guess you could call B a prediction. You could call B a prediction. And I guess you could also call A, what did you call A? Possibility. Yeah, you could call A possibility. So actually, what you said is generally good, but I needed it to be a little bit more relatable to the sentences, Sleepwalker. So A is, I do not have the ability to do that in that situation. I could not. I could not. And then B is, if I were in the situation, I would not enjoy it. So yeah, we could think of it as A is like talking more about ability, and B is talking more about possibility. There's also this aspect of A being related to my ability, whereas B is more just what would happen in that situation. Because we could be certain, of course. Right, let's move on. What's the difference in meaning? Well, we have popcorn in the cinema. Should we have popcorn in the cinema? Well, we have popcorn in the cinema. Should we have popcorn in the cinema? Will we have popcorn in the cinema? Should we have popcorn in the cinema? Should we have popcorn in the cinema? And your time starts now. Hello to everybody joining us at home. If you are joining us today, my name is ProfRich, and today we are learning modal verbs in the context of Valentine's Day. So we're using phrases related to Valentine's Day and romance, and we're currently comparing the use of different modal verbs in sentences about dating and Valentine's Day. If you've just joined us and you're finding this lesson useful, then doing, smash that like button. Will expresses certainty and shall expresses suggestion. That's quite interesting, Anawat, but notice that here they're both questions. Here they are both questions. So that's a little bit different. Wow, Zoya, that is really good. That's possibly one of the best answers I've seen today. Did you do that yourself? That's really good. That's maybe better than the answer that I was going to use. So Zoya says A means, is there a way to buy? And B is, what do you think of having? That's really good. Yeah, that's really good. That's basically it. That really is it. So well done, Zoya. That's bang on. I'm going to use it. Great. Wow. That's fantastic. All right, moving on. What's the difference in meaning? You mustn't have too much romance. You can't have too much romance. Popcorn on Valentine's Day does not match. What? What are you talking about, Manuel? Of course it does. People go to the cinema. They eat popcorn. Of course people eat popcorn on Valentine's Day. Negative piece of advice. You mustn't have too much romance. You can't have too much romance. I agree with A, Zoya. That's good. As in, it's not good for you. Yeah. But B, I think there's a better way to say that. All right, let me give you my take on this one. I noticed that I forgot to actually put the A and B there. So A is prohibition equals I am telling you that, or we could say it's against the rules. or something like that, or it's bad for you to have too much romance. Okay? So prohibition. And then B is it's not possible to have too much romance. In other words, B actually means it's always good to have more romance. You can't have too much romance. It means there's always room for more romance. Damn it. I don't have space for it. Okay. There's always room for more romance. Is you can't have too much romance. There's always room for more. All right, folks, we're coming up to the last few now. What's the difference in meaning? I don't know what I'll give her. I didn't know what I'd give her. I don't know what I'll give her. I didn't know what I'd give her. Oops. What's the difference in meaning? Answers in the chat. You have 1 minute and 20 seconds. If you're new here, this is a great opportunity to smash that like button. Hit subscribe. Join us as we learn English on Wednesdays at 3 p.m. UK time or Saturdays 1 p.m. UK time. Welcome one, welcome all. My name is ProfRich, and today we're looking at the 9 pure modal verbs in the context of Valentine's Day. All right, you guys seem to be pretty clear about this one. I will give you the answers in about 30 seconds as the timer runs down. "15 seconds left to put your answers in the chat. Anawat, not sure about that one. Takeshi, not really sure about that one, but maybe with more context, your answer would work, Takeshi. Sleepwalker's quite close. A is about the future, B is about the past. That's kind of it. Yeah, that's pretty much it, actually. A is about the future and B is about the past. So A means right now, I don't know what to give her in the future. And B means in the past, I didn't know what I would give her in the future of the past. So there's this weird phrase of the future of the past. Now that could mean a few things. We need a bit more context. Like, I didn't know what I'd give her could mean that later I did know and I gave her something. But not necessarily, because the future of the past might still be the future. It's like, I was at the shops this morning, but I didn't know what I'd give her, so I didn't buy anything. Well, what are you going to give her? I still don't know. I still don't know what I'll give her. Right? So we often think of would as being the past version of will in this way. That's a really weird way to think about it, but that's what it is. Would can be used like the past of will. So while will is predictions in the present, would is like predictions that were in the past. I hope that makes sense. The future of the past. So I didn't know what I would give her in the future of the past. All right, folks. What's the difference in meaning? Would you do me the great honor of being my wife? Will you do me the great honor of being my wife? What's the difference, folks? You have 1 minute and 30 seconds starting now. Rich, what do you have planned for this Valentine's Day? I've already done it. Domenico. My Valentine's Day started at 7:30 this morning. And I've had a day chocked full of Valentine's Day fun. Chocked full of Valentine's Day fun. I can share a few images, but just of me and maybe of objects. I'll show you some images in a minute, since you asked. A is more polite than B. Will you pass me the salt? Would you pass me the salt? I don't think it's more polite. I am going to say there's no difference for this one. No difference. No difference in meaning, but A is more common these days. That's all. So A is a more common request. They're both requests. Both are polite requests. Depending on how you say them, of course. But both are polite requests. There's no difference in meaning, but A is more common these days. That's it. All right, everybody. So we are moving on to question time. If you have any questions about learning English or about today's class or about English in general, then please do type those questions in the chat now. You can, of course, download the notes from today's class, and they are in the chat, and they are also down below the video. And while you have a think about the questions that you have for today, I will show you some pictures from my Valentine's Day. So here's some lovely flower, lovely rose. Leave it to your imagination how this was involved in my Valentine's Day. And here is some Valentine's Day fun. There you go. The guy in the coffee shop did the hot chocolate with a little heart there for my wife. That's pretty good. I don't know if we have any Vietnamese in the chat today, but I can also show you the lovely Valentine's Day meal we had yesterday. It's all steamed up, but it is a Vietnamese hot pot bubbling away there. Kind of a steamy picture. But it was fun. Brilliant. All right, so had a lovely, lovely, lovely time on Valentine's Day. Anyway. And my wife with a rose and the Valentine's Day card that I got her. All right, let's move on to questions, folks. What questions do we have? It's been an imaginative lesson. What could I do then? Very good. Anouat says, is this statement correct? Neither you nor I is wrong. Neither you nor I is wrong. Or should I say neither you nor I am wrong? You know, I want to say something totally different to that. You know what? I want to say neither you nor I are wrong. But I am going to have to double check that because it's not something that people say that often. Apparently my one is horribly wrong. You see, the sentence itself is really uncommon. And then it becomes quite difficult because, of course, we want to describe language as it's used, not prescribe how it should be used. And therefore, if it isn't actually used, then it's difficult to give a definite answer. So apparently, after we use nor, then the subject-verb agreement should be with the verb after nor. So the grammarian perspective, is neither you nor I am wrong. That's the grammarian perspective, the correct, according to grammar nerd rules. Okay. However, bear in mind that the most common way of saying you and me is you and me, not you and I, which is the grammarian correct thing to say here is you and I rather than me and you. But me and you is the most common way. So just bear that in mind, that although there might be a grammar answer here, it's not necessarily worth worrying about too much because it's such an uncommon way of saying things that no one is likely to think that it's a mistake to say it another way, basically. All right, moving on. Rich, when can't we use needn't? Only don't need. Yeah, needn't's an interesting one, Sleepwalker, because we don't actually use needn't very much. So, the big thing I remember with needn't is if you say, we needn't have bought an extra rose. What that means is we bought an extra rose, but it was not required. However, if I say we didn't need to buy an extra rose, this means it wasn't necessary to buy an extra rose, and we may or may not have bought one. So you can see with the second one, we actually don't state whether we bought it or not. That's the big difference with needn't, as in needn't have, and didn't need to. Other than that, I don't know a lot about needn't, because again, we don't really use it. Needn't is a pure modal that's kind of out of date. So it's using need like a modal verb, but it's not really used anymore. Are phrasal verbs okay in an IELTS essay? That's a very interesting question, Takeshi. In general, avoid phrasal verbs in academic writing. That's all I would say there. So that means one or two phrasal verbs are okay, especially more formal phrasal verbs, but avoid them in academic writing. That's it. Of course, when people say IELTS essays, they normally mean the IELTS academic exam with the academic essays, and therefore you should avoid phrasal verbs. That doesn't mean you can't use them. It just means only use them if you have to. All right? Remember, number one, the most important thing is communication. And that's the same with the IELTS essays. The most important thing is that your essay makes sense and performs its task with sophisticated language. However, we also want the style to be good, and good style in terms of academic writing means that we avoid phrasal verbs. Yeah, it's an interesting point that you're making there, Takeshi, about Anawat's question, that they can be found in lots of grammar tests. And yeah, it's a weird thing, isn't it? It's the same with things like fewer and less. You can see that a lot in tests. But in reality, people say less for everything. Whereas the traditional grammar tells us that fewer should be used for countable nouns and less for uncountable. And I experienced a similar thing in Spanish as well, actually. If we have any Spanish speakers in the chat, that I learned in Spanish grammar that we must say... Si, for example, si me hubiese ganado, is that right? Si me hubiese ganado la lotería. No. Si hubiese ganado la lotería, me habría comprado un Ferrari. Si hubiese ganado la lotería, me habría comprado un Ferrari. So that's what I learnt in the grammar books. But then when people speak, they would be just like, me hubiera comprado un Ferrari. Si hubiese ganado la lotería. So they would use the pretérito de imperfecto for both clauses. And the grammar book said that that's wrong. But actually, nobody said this. See that top one that's right? Nobody said that. They said the bottom one. Or they said something else. Not the bottom one, but something else. So, one thing is passing the test, and the other thing is actually learning to drive. That's what I was told when I passed my driving test. Domenico says, Rich, I was wondering if you could give me some recommendations regarding public speaking, since I've got summer seminars looming on the horizon. Public speaking is something I'm super interested in, Domenico. And I have a lot of students that I specifically train in public speaking. It's one of my specialities as a language teacher. I give people catered advice on slideshows and presentations. So I would like to do some more classes on public speaking in the future. I'd be more than happy to do that. One of the things that I would say is, of course, practice makes perfect. And the more that you practice public speaking, the better you get at it. Also, I would say, Domenico, I did do a lesson on this in the past. It might be on Oxford Online English, but I can't remember. But I'll make a note, Domenico, and I will do a lesson on that in the future. Next week. Okay? Your request will be fulfilled. I'll do a lesson on it. Could you tell me, Domenico, what specifically do you find difficult about public speaking? And I can talk a little bit about that. Yeah, if you want to book classes with me, you can. I've had classes with you before. Anyone who's had classes with me in the past, I'm happy to do classes with you. We just need to arrange a time. If you haven't had classes with me and you would like to have classes in the future, then please join our Discord server and talk to me, and we'll arrange a time to have a free level test. And then after the level test, I'll look at giving you classes. I do have a very busy schedule, but for members of the community, hello, welcome community. For members of the community, I'm happy to consider one-to-one classes. I warn you, I'm not cheap. But you get what you pay for. Right, Zoya had a question, so let's have a look at that. When I lived in London, I was speaking English a lot. I spoke English a lot. Why isn't B the right answer? They're both the right answer. There's nothing wrong with them. When I lived in London, I spoke English a lot. Yeah, it's fine. They're both fine, Zoya. What's this from? They're both okay. We could even say when I was living in London. I was speaking English a lot. Or when I was living in London, I spoke English a lot. They're also okay. Of course, depends on the context. With different contexts, they might change, but as is, they are all okay. B2 test. B is the right answer. What's the B2 test, Zoya? Where's it from? Is it Cambridge English? And who wrote it? And who wrote the answers? Because often with tests, there are mistakes. It is quite difficult, actually, to write a test, because sometimes you think something's a mistake and then you think about it a bit more and you realise that actually it is possible. It's a Cambridge English student's book. Yeah. It sounds like a mistake to me, Zoya. It sounds like a mistake to me. There is nothing wrong with this. When I lived in London, I spoke English a lot. So although the standard use of past simple is to talk about a finished event in the past, it can also be used for repeated events, which are finished, or habits in the past even. Like when I was younger, I studied loads of history and stuff. That's fine as well. Right, and this is functionally equivalent, isn't it? But that's also fine. So there is absolutely nothing wrong with that. We could also use used to. When I lived in London, I'd probably say it the other way around though. I'd probably say I used to speak a lot of English when I lived in London, or I used to speak a lot of English when I was living in London. Also, it's okay. So a lot of flexibility there. And actually, in general, past tenses do have a lot of flexibility. A lot of it is to do with flavour. So past simple, past continuous, and past perfect. Past perfect is often used for clarity. The past perfect simple, anyway. Past perfect continuous is a bit more complicated. Domenico says, "Sir, I'm thinking of having some classes with you during my brief route to Italy. Meanwhile, what do you suggest doing to increase my stamina? Coach said I have the tendency to get tired after speaking for 10 to 15 minutes. I start tripping over some words." Do you mean in English, Domenico? You know, you're someone who speaks a lot, so maybe you should pause more and say less. Quite simply. Lower the amount of words per minute that you say. So try this, Domenico. Try deliberately speaking like this. How about you give a full 10-minute presentation talking like this? That could be interesting for you. Because I think at the moment you speak about 200 words per second. Takeshi says, in spoken English, you can use past continuous tense alone. For instance, can I say I was doing my laundry this morning? Is that correct? Yep, it is. You absolutely can. You can do all kinds of stuff in spoken English, to be honest with you. You can do all kinds of stuff. I would speak a lot in English when I lived in London for 5 years. I'd get home and then I'd speak a lot of English. When I was living in London, I would speak a lot of English when I was living in London. Yes, it's funny, that one, Manuel, sounds a bit weird with the past simple, but with the past continuous sounds okay. When you're using would. This is the narrative would. The narrative would, which is used for past habits with a hint of nostalgia. Okay. When I was living in Spain, I'd go for lunch after my morning class, enjoy a bottle of red wine, and then I'd carry on teaching till sundown. I don't drink anymore. All right, everybody. Thank you very much for your questions. We're going to move on now to the homework assignment. What theme and style of game would you like to develop most? Draw a map or design a level of an environment from your imaginary video game and send me the drawing. Now, interestingly enough, this actually wasn't the homework. This was a homework for a different day. This is the homework for next week. This is the homework for Saturday. I'm showing you the wrong homework. All right, let's find the right homework. Sorry for scaring you, everybody. I was about to say, why haven't I actually received any drawings? It's because it's not the right homework, Rich. Well done, well done. So, the homework assignment for today was... I still can't find it. Oh, where is it? February 3rd? No, February 10th. Talk about your favourite way to manage stress. That was ages ago. Oh, dear. Oh, dear, oh, dear, oh, dear. Was it nominalization? Can anyone remind me what... What was the last homework? Video game design. No, that's not it. Maybe we just listen to it and try and work out what the homework was. I think that's what I'll have to do. All right, we're just going to listen to it. It was about stress. All right. Okay, great. Well, I do have a few submissions for this. So let's go on. We're going to start with Anawat.
Hey, what's up, my friends? Today, I'm spilling the beans on my absolute favorite way to check off stress. And drum roll, please. It's all about cycling. Buckle up, or should I say pedal up for the ride of your life. Just imagine me casually chilling on the saddle, venturing off the beaten track like a modern day explorer. It's not just a simple ride, It's like embarking on my own personal stress fighting journey. Cycling is the perfect way to let off steam and feel refreshed. Believe me, it works wonders. Is like a form of mindfulness on wheels, finding some peace of mind and keeping stress at bay. Cycling is not only just about going on a solo adventure, but also a great way to make some awesome social connections. You can join a cycling group or even drag a friend along for the ride. Trust me, sharing the joy of the open road and creating unforgettable memories together is totally worth it. So, why cycling for stress management? It's a holistic experience. The perfect blend of physical activity, mindfulness, and social connection. Break free from the routine, embrace the saddle, and pedal towards a stress-free life. All right. Until next time, happy cycling and happy de-stressing.
Happy de-stressing, yes. De-stressing. Yeah, we can de-stress as a verb. All right, some excellent, interesting vocabulary there from Anawat. What I might say to you, Anawat, is your intonation starts off really well and ends really well, but I feel like you lose it a little bit in the middle. So it might be worth just focusing on some natural intonation in the middle. It sounds a bit too much like you're reading from a script in the middle of what you're saying. So just bear that in mind. Other than that, fantastic and some great vocabulary there. Let's move on.
Morning, evening, afternoon, everyone. Happy New Year for the China community. And let's go with the tags
Chúc mừng năm mới.
for today. It's talking about the stress. Yesterday, I was talking with Professor Rich, and I told him, sorry, that my favorite phrase or my favorite idiom is a bird in a hand is worth that a million in the bush. So we are talking about the stress. The stress for me, you can only identify with the idiom. Don't buy more than you can chew. Why? Because in this life, all of us, we aren't the same. Have good in math and exercise, and you are good, for example, dancing. But the question is, when you have, when they come to me 5, 6, or 7 problems at the same time, I become stressed. That's stressed out. And how I fight the stress out? Was dividing everyone at one time. The first one come to me, a lot of problem is take my trainer and running for what? An hour or more. Then I free my endorphin. That's the same with the stress. So, keep in mind one thing. Taking in mind these 2 idioms, a bird in the hand is worse than a million in the brush, and above all, don't have a lot of playing, you play, because you need sometimes you need have, you need to beat more than the kind you. Sorry, but my oldest daughter come to me now and interrupt my lesson. Well, I only like it.
Thank you very much, Manuel. So, a bird in the hand is worth 2 in the bush. A bird in the hand is worth 2 in the bush. It means if you have 1 now, that's better than 2, possibly. Endorphins are natural feel-good chemicals. Then, how do I fight the stress out? No. How do I unwind, de-stress, get rid of stress? Take my trainer and run for an hour or more. And running, that was it. And running, no. Get rid of the and running, please. Let's make that green. And now we'll make that green as well. Take my trainers and run. Take, because look, here's the consistency. Take my trainers and run for an hour or more. And pronunciation with this one, Manuel, is above. Above all. Above all. Above. Listen, Manuel, copy this. Above all. Above all. Above all. Above all. Above all. Above all. Like that. Above all. Above all. Thank you very much.
I like to watch liquid hourglass oil bubbles motion or kaleidoscope flashlight shapes motion on YouTube. Then I try to think over the stressful situation. When I was at school, teachers of English often teach me even when there was only me in the classroom. Recently, I was banned forever from one of the chats because I didn't send any usual messages, text messages, except for the info request and command list request. After the ban, I saw the all sending messages users were chat administrators. Before that has happened, I always was afraid to send any request without asking. I want to say thank you, and I am sorry for all the teachers, the moderators, and the administrators I had met in life when something was embarrassed.
I didn't quite understand that, Vladimir. I'm still trying to get my head around it. When I was at school, teacher of English often taught me there was only me in the classroom. Recently, I was banned forever from one of the chats because I didn't send any usual messages except for info requests and commands list requests. After the ban, I saw that all message users were chat administrators. Before that happened, I was always a friend to send any requests without asking. Sorry to all the teachers and administrators I've met in my life. Yeah, I'm a bit confused, Vladimir. I don't actually know what you're talking about. You're not banned from any of our chats, I don't think. Not unless I missed something. So yeah, I'm not quite sure what you're talking about exactly there. But okay. It was a little bit tricky to understand what you were saying as well. I think the English wasn't super clear in that little story. But nice try. Hourglass oil bubbles. I think, are you talking about lava lamp? By the way? Let me get a picture of a lava lamp. Because I love lava lamps, actually. I know they're so 70s and cheesy, but I love them. I think they're so cool. And they're so real as well. There you go. Just like that. Lava lamp. Great. Who doesn't like lava lamps? All right, thank you very much, everybody. Thank you very much, Vladimir. We'll move on to the next one. Maybe one day we'll get to the bottom of what exactly Vladimir was talking about there.
Hello everyone, today I'm going to talk about...
Oh, it's Pallavi! Yes, okay, I'm excited. May I say, first of all, well done, Pallavi, for getting the homework in again. Pallavi killing it recently, coming in with loads of homework, and we always appreciate that. I know that Pallavi is not currently watching because she found our topic today was too adult for her, but okay.
Hello everyone, today I'm going to talk about how do I manage my stress. From my perspective, do whatever things you like to do in order to release your stress. As for me, I usually do things such as reading, writing, eating, drawing. And in addition, I also know some other ways to, release the stress, such as you can go for a long drive, you can hang out with friends. But I can do that as I don't have a driving license. Another thing is my parents don't let me go out always. And the other thing is, when my stress reaches at the peak, I take out my notebook and write the things that cause me stress, and after that I tear it off in many pieces and I throw it away in the trash.
Brilliant. That was actually really good, Pallavi. You know what I like about Pallavi's homework? She follows the instruction to not read from a script. She's just talking, which is exactly what I asked for. It's really good. Perfect. I think you could talk for longer, Pallavi. Very, very, very good. So, really interesting little story there from Pallavi about how she relieves stress. Best homework of the day. 5 stars. Thank you. I will look forward to your video game homework, Pallavi. As we move on to Julia.
Let me dig into coping with stress. Coping with stress is one of the most present issues in our daily hazards of life. It is no-brainer that stress reduction is not only a Herculean task, but also a tall order. From my standpoint, handling stress is also essential for maintaining our overall well-being, and a concise meditation method to help us manage it effectively. Regular practice can lead to inner peace and better emotional well-being. If stress arises, approach it with compassion and accept it as a natural part of your life. Just be present with it without judgment. How to endure stress when it becomes overwhelming? Here you go. Physical activity is a good stress for stress intervention. Good stress can increase alertness, lead to better performance, and even sharpen memory. A strenuous 20-minute workout 3 or 4 times a week in the morning and everyday 20-minute meditation in the late evening are my negotiable approach to release stress. Meditation helps body, mind, and soul balance. On the other hand, physical exercise is a very much unsung hero with a mood-boosting effect. It is a...
I'm just going to go back a second because I missed that word.
On the other hand, physical exercise is a very much unsung hero with a...
What's that?
Meditation helps body, mind, and soul balance. On the other hand, physical exercise is a very much unsung hero with a mood-boosting effect. It is a stroke of genius to have a go at a walk in the nature if the situation permits. Take a 10-minute daydreaming.
Very much an unsung hero. Let me just go back.
So balance. On the other hand, physical exercise is a very much unsung hero with a...
What's the subject, Julia? It's like, physical is a very much unsung hero with a mood-boosting effect.
Mood boosting effect. It is a stroke of genius to have a go at a walk in the nature if the situation permits. Take a 10-minute daydreaming and take a digital vacation in order to alleviate the magnitude of
Physical
stress
exercise.
level. How's your day? In my new
Physical exercise is very much an unsung hero. Just exercise. Exercise. Okay, let's say physical. Physical exercise is very much an unsung hero. Leave it at that. Don't continue. You just said something very complicated. So we say one sentence. Physical exercise is very much an unsung hero. And then we can give details.
take a 10-minute daydreaming, a walk in the nature, if in effect. Is a very much unsung hero with a mood-boosting effect.
Right. Physical exercise is very much an unsung hero of de-stressing. It has a mood-boosting effect. Okay.
It is a stroke of genius to have a go at a walk in the nature if the situation permits. Take a 10-minute daydreaming and take a digital vacation in order to alleviate the magnitude of stress level. How's your day? In my newfound idea, subjective well-being, in other words, self-reported measure of well-being, might also help me go forward.
Brilliant. Fantastic. Oops. All right, great. Some excellent vocabulary there from Julia. A no-brainer. No-brainer is US slang, but it's okay. No-brainer. The reason why I mention it, Julia, is because a lot of the language that you use sounds quite well-spoken and formal. And then if you mix that with the style of slang, then, you know, it seems a bit strange. Like, it's okay. You want to stay in one style, really. So you want to stay either kind of speaking quite formally or speaking quite casually. Like, go for one and stick with that in this context. So manage it effectively. See, like, manage it effectively is great vocabulary, but it's quite sort of formal. Whereas no-brainer is great vocabulary, but it's quite colloquial, right? So there's a bit of a mix there. Accept it with compassion. Yeah, manage it effectively and accept it with compassion. They both fit together quite well. That's kind of the same style. This is the kind of language that people in Vipassana, mindfulness, meditation practice, and so on use. Mood boosting effect. Great. Again, that's very good. Very much an unsung hero. Yeah. So there's the verb there. So it's be very much an unsung hero rather than be at very much unsung hero. With these sort of very complex idioms, it's good to use the exact form so that people can understand what they are. You know, it's like the elephant in the room, not, you know, many elephants in many different rooms or something, which makes it more difficult. Basically, I'm saying these kind of very complicated idioms are quite fixed. You can't move them around too much. So it's very much an unsung hero, or even just an unsung hero. You know, physical exercise is, in my opinion, an unsung hero. Alleviate the magnitude of your stress levels. Again, alleviate the magnitude. Great vocabulary, quite formal. So that's great. It fits very well with this vocabulary. Manage it effectively and accept it with compassion. But it's a bit of a contrast to no-brainer, which is also good vocabulary, but it's kind of colloquial. All right, thank you very much, Julia. It was absolutely amazing. Can I just say thank you very much to everyone for joining me today. It's been my pleasure as always. My name is ProfRich, and today we've been learning English modal verbs on the topic of Valentine's Day. I wish you all a lovely, lovely Valentine's Day and a wonderful, wonderful week. And I will see you on Saturday for our next class, which will also be on modal verbs, but we're going to dive deep. So get ready for that. Smash that like button, and I'll see you next time, everybody.